Hello, and welcome to the Board of Pensions webinar, The Value of the Benefits Plan. My name is Emily Chetty, and I serve as a church consultant for the Board of Pensions. Today, I'm joined by several of my board colleagues who will present today's information. They are Pat Haynes, Executive Vice President and Chief Benefits Officer, Sharon Castillo, Director, Plan Administration, Interpretation, and Regulatory Matters, John Matakovic, Vice President of Income Security, Ruth Adams, Director of the Assistance Program, and Yvette Russell, Vice President of Customer Engagement. We're glad you're here, and we're grateful you have taken this time out of your day to learn with us. As we begin our time together, let me open us with prayer. Holy God, open our ears to hear how you are speaking, and our hearts that we might love all that you love. May the time we spend here today enrich us and equip us in our ministries. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Before we dive in, let's take just a moment to review some housekeeping details. If you're having technical issues, please use the chat feature, and someone from our tech team behind the scenes can assist you. There will be a time for question and answers at the end of the presentation. Throughout the webinar, please feel free to submit your questions using the questions section of that webinar control pane. If you see submitted questions that match your own question, you're encouraged to upvote that question to help make it a priority for our team to answer live if possible. Due to time constraints, we might not get to all your questions in this format, but please know that every question submitted will be reviewed and answered by someone from the Board of Pensions. And finally, we will provide a recording of the Value of the Benefits Plan webinar later this month. You may want to have a pen and a notebook nearby to take notes, just to capture anything you need to remember before the recording posts. As we turn to our content for today, we begin grounded in our theology of benefits. Our Reformed understanding of vocation affirms that all who serve the church are called by the Holy Spirit. How we treat those who respond to this call from God is a witness to the Lordship of Jesus Christ, and it often stands in contrast to the norms of the marketplace. For that reason, the Board of Pensions, as an agency of the Presbyterian Church, U.S.A., offers programs designed to promote well-being in health, spiritual, financial, and vocational realms. Throughout these programs, the values of care, connection, and community nature are upheld. Benefits are not simply elective. They're an essential component of just compensation. When the church provides just compensation to its workers, it lives out its identity as a just and caring community. It stands as a witness to the world. Thus, with the entire church, the Board of Pensions serves God who created us and calls us in Christ to this holy work by which we exhibit the kingdom of heaven to the world. And now, it is my privilege and delight to introduce to you Pat Haynes, Executive Vice President and Chief Benefits Officer.
Thank you, Emily. I'm just trying to get my video on. It is indeed my pleasure to join you today and to welcome all our guests. With that theology of benefits as relevant and meaningful context, I'd like to spend a bit of time unpacking our health and wellness plans. Plans that have been intentionally designed to be an expression of support and compassionate care for pastors and other church workers. Of course, the principal attraction in that lineup of health and wellness plans is the medical plan. So my particular focus will be almost entirely on that. And if I could, I'd like to start with grounding you in some of the basic economic and philosophical constructs of this $240 million plan that covers approximately 11,000 active members and close to 11,000 of their eligible dependents. While this is more generally relevant in the retirement plan space, I point out first that ours is a church plan. A church plan is defined within Section 414E of the Internal Revenue Code as an employee benefits plan established by a denomination or an organization, such as the Board of Pensions, that has as its primary purpose the maintenance and administration of retirement, medical, and other plans for the benefit of ministers and employees of churches, as well as employees of affiliate organizations controlled by the church or associated with it. While there are many technical benefits of being a church plan, I think the significance is that it allows us to align more fully with the core teaching and philosophies of our denomination. Secondly, it is a self-funded plan. Medical claims are administered by Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, and pharmacy claims are administered by Express Scripts, but they are paid entirely with board funds provided through the collection of employer dues. The significance of this is that the board bears the entirety of the risk. And this is particularly important since, unlike the pension plan, which is an asset-based plan, the medical plan is a pay-as-you-go plan. In any given year, the dues collected should be sufficient to cover the cost of claims incurred, as well as our associated administrative expenses. If they're not, we need to use reserves, which have been intentionally funded over time to handle some of the inherent volatility associated with a medical plan. Good stewardship and actuarial discipline has resulted in well-funded reserves, but they are not designed to support losses for an extended period of time. So it's important that we predict with reasonable accuracy the revenue we will need to support our claims and administrative expenses each year. As you might imagine, though, there's a bit of art and science to projecting future costs. Our internal staff work with certified actuaries throughout the year, collecting data, analyzing healthcare trends, and specific population risk, and then collectively apply reasonable judgment, born of skill and experience, in arriving at forecasts. Some of the variability that can dynamically modify these projections include market changes, legislative and regulatory requirements, inflation, and some amount of unanticipated changes in enrollment and/or utilization. So there are a lot of moving parts. But one thing that has surely been certain and constant is that healthcare costs simply never go down. While the amount of increase has shown some historic variability, the direction of up has pretty much been a constant. The medical trend, as actuaries refer to it, has three major components. Unit cost of service. So an X-ray that cost $500 this year will likely cost $550 next year. Unit cost of services go up year over year. Utilization of services is next, and that's simply more members using more services, often a function of an aging population, one that requires increasing levels of care and numbers of services. So unit of cost goes up and the actual rate of utilization goes up. Third factor, erosion of cost share value. What do I mean by that? Well, by not changing copays and deductibles, we actually cause the plan to absorb a higher percentage of total cost. So while a member is paying $25 for a primary care office visit, that office visit costs more year over year, so the plan actually absorbs that higher cost. Perhaps a fourth factor should be acknowledged, particularly given some recent decisions made by our current administration, and that is cost shifting. To the extent that Medicaid and Medicare are eroded, private plans like ours end up absorbing some of those losses. According to the American Medical Association, medical practice costs are up at least 3.5% this year over last year, and the Medicare reimbursements simply are not keeping pace with that rate of increase. Our own trend history reveals considerable volatility, as you can see from this chart. It was amazing 5.5 years ago, Tuesday, March 11th, 2020, to be exact, that the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 outbreak a global pandemic. 2 days later, the Trump administration declared a national emergency. You all know that the pandemic led to incredible loss and a lot, as it turns out, of deferred care, resulting in that 2020 trend number, 1-year anomaly that was negative. A negative 1.7% really was a function of people simply not seeking care that year. The 2021 number pretty obviously included some course correction. A lot of members returning to more normal levels of care. And over these last 3 years, as more members return to more normal levels of care, our average trend has settled in at just under 7%, which is still considerably above CPI. If we get out our actuarial crystal ball, what we see for the whole of 2025 is about 10%. Again, a 10% increase over the prior year. That's above that 3-year average, but not too far from the 2024 actual of 9.4%. All of this is exacerbated by a fair amount of uncertainty and some pretty well-established cost drivers. Let's tackle some of the uncertainty first. Inflation is taking and will continue to take a toll on healthcare costs. As payers and providers enter new contracts, providers will be seeking higher reimbursements to cover increasing labor and other costs associated with the delivery of care. Then there's the risk associated with covering a relatively stable but decidedly aging population. That risk is real and certainly part of that mural of uncertainty. Investment performance, a third contributor, impacts both our revenue and our reserves. Social determinants of health, another aspect of population risk, including such things as access to care, and affordability, fuels a level of uncertainty. And to wrap it all up, the geopolitical environment, perhaps more than ever before, has created for all of us a level of uncertainty. If we layer on top of this what we know about our major cost drivers, it isn't hard to understand that balance of art and science at arriving at future cost estimates. There is a fair amount of consistency in these top conditions which drive our costs, both across our population as well as other commercially insured populations. Almost universally, neoplasms take top billing. Increasingly, that's because cancer has become more of a chronic condition and not necessarily a terminal disease. That has happened because of life-saving, albeit extremely expensive treatments like immunotherapy and gene therapy. Musculoskeletal and circulatory conditions are also relatively common to any top 3, but mental health has been a more recent addition to our top 4, and that's a likely consequence of the growing complexities of life. There is one specific aspect of our cost trends and drivers that I'd like to spend a minute on, and that is the growing impact of our prescription drug expense. With a net expense of approximately $44 million in 2024, so that's the portion of our medical spend that was entirely prescription drug related. That represents about 22% of our total spend. And our drug trend was actually 10.5%. If you recall, our overall trend in 24 was 9.4, but our prescription drug trend was actually higher. Specialty drugs, which account for about 50% of our total prescription drug spend, are those high-cost, mostly injectable drugs used to treat life-altering conditions such as rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, MS, cystic fibrosis, and hemophilia. Non-specialty drug utilization, that other 50%, points to some of the chronic conditions that our members are living with. Top among them, diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and again, mental health issues. One of the major contributors to cost in this non-specialty category has been GLP-1s used solely for weight management. While reportedly hugely effective, these drugs in 2024 were responsible for $5.7 million of our expense and accounted for about 12.7% of our overall prescription drug cost. But in the category of good news, by and large, medications are designed to treat medical conditions and improve the quality of life. And we do celebrate that our members generally rely on generic when available, and they have a very high adherence rate. In other words, they take cost-effective medications as prescribed. With all of that as context, I wanted to spend some time sharing with you a bit about how we approach our financial stewardship responsibilities. We manage our internal administrative expenses against specific benchmarks to ensure their relative reasonableness. External administrative expenses, those that we pay to our third-party business partners like Highmark, Quantum Health, and Express Scripts, are significantly influenced by our disciplined purchasing, contracting, and performance management approach. Joining forces with other denominational church plans, all of whom are members of the Church Benefits Association, we have formed 3 unique purchasing coalitions. Our combined volume gives us greater purchasing power and a bigger seat at the table of each organization. Our Highmark Coalition, for example, currently includes 13 denominational plans covering approximately 140,000 individuals. Our Express Scripts Coalition is even larger, with 18 denominational plans and over 250,000 individuals. We've recently launched a Quantum Health Coalition that includes for now 1 other plan, roughly our size, with opportunity to include several other plans, both existing and prospective Quantum Health clients. Again, our combined size gives us 2 advantages. One is pricing, and the other is a voice. The contract negotiating process generally includes, when it includes multiple denominations, a set of common requirements, as well as some unique provisions for each denomination. And it always includes a set of performance standards that are both economically and culturally determined. Those are the standards to which we hold our business partners accountable during the entire contract period. We actually devote considerable time and effort to oversight of our partners, holding regular meetings with account teams to ensure interpretive alignment, and we perform regular audits of their financial and operational results. That is all part of our due diligence. As you know, the pricing of the medical plan is a complicated reflection of all of these factors, but it is not the only piece of the dues packages we have constructed in this relatively new world of choice and flexibility. Before Sharon shares with you some of the unique design elements of our medical plan coverage options, I want to take the next few minutes to cover our benefit packages, starting with the Covenant package. Formerly called Minister's Choice, this package, this Covenant package, gives members access to significant retirement and financial protection plans. The Covenant package pulls together all our non-medical benefit offerings, including the defined benefit pension plan, the death and disability plan, the temporary disability plan, the employee assistance plan, and provides access to a wide array of assistance and educational programs. The Covenant package may be offered to any W-2 employee who works 20 or more hours per week. This has invited a new sense of parity among all employees, non-ordained, commissioned, or ordained. Examples of who the Covenant package could be offered to include office administrators, musicians, preschool directors, youth directors, custodial staff, commissioned pastors, temporary and interim pastors, validated ministers, and mid-council leaders. The dues, set at 10% of effective salary, are paid entirely by the employer. The next package is the Congregational Pastors Package, designed to provide comprehensive coverage to all congregational pastoral leaders, and it includes all the benefits that I described as part of the Covenant package, plus PPO member-only medical coverage. Dues for this package includes the 10% of effective salary for the non-medical benefits, and in 2026, 17.5% of effective salary for the PPO medical plan. The total dues then, paid entirely by the church, will be 27.5%, an increase over last year's dues of 26%. That's roughly a 5.8% increase. Should a pastoral leader enrolled in this package have eligible dependents who need coverage, he or she may elect to enroll them at an additional cost. The enrollment of dependents is completely voluntary and should be an individual decision based on need and economics. This coverage flexibility, first introduced this year, recognizes that family looks different than it did 35, 40 years ago, and that many working spouses actually have access to other coverage. Congregations, in conversation with their pastoral leaders, may choose to pay all or some of the cost of this coverage. The cost, of course, is a significant part of the decision, and for 2026 looks like this on an annual basis. These annual rates, billed in monthly increments, represent national, community-rated, fixed pricing for the year. I should note that the rate for children, which is a monthly cost of just under $830, applies to any number of children in a family. To pull all this together, let me share one final dense but comprehensive chart illustrating the total dues expenses for 2026, including where minimum and maximum amounts apply. The incremental cost of family PPO coverage of $22,200, that's annual, monthly about $1,850, indeed does represent our best estimate of a zero margin rate that's necessary to support those claims and expenses for that cohort in 2026. While the minimum cost of member-only coverage is $6,500, as illustrated on this chart, the actual aggregate dollar cost for this cohort is estimated at about $13,350. If we do the math at the minimum, member-only dues of $6,500 plus the incremental cost of family coverage produces that total cost of $28,700, roughly $2,390 per month. Compared with the actual cost of coverage of nearly $35,500, this produces a subsidized annualized amount of $6,800. Comparing this with the cost of family coverage under transitional pastors' participation is the next and final step of understanding the structure and subsidy value of each dues package. At the 2026 minimum dues level of $18,500, using the estimated actual cost that I just referenced of $35,500 for family coverage, that's what it actually costs, the value of the subsidy is $17,000 per year. Clearly, this would be the better economic choice for most of our pastors in need of family coverage, particularly since it remains non-contributory. A final point I'll make about pricing is around its transparency vis-a-vis historical and ongoing subsidies. Because we had historically built our dues model as a percentage of effective salary, the relationship between what we were invoicing and what it actually cost was not at all transparent. We know that there was some understandable shock for many of our members and churches when we published for the first time in 2025 rates for dependent coverage as part of that congregational pastors package, because they actually represented in the aggregate our best estimate of the actual incremental cost for each tier of dependent coverage. This is again true for 2026 rates, and you will note on this chart a reference to 2027. We intentionally designed this transitional dues package as a bridge through 2027 for pastors who have family coverage needs and have been historically enrolled in pastors' participation. We are committed to reevaluating ways of providing subsidized coverage beyond 2027 as we live into this new era of flexibility and choice. That is a lot of numbers, and I hope some rich context. I am delighted to introduce my colleague, Sharon Castillo, who will now share with you some more specific information about our health and wellness plans. Sharon?
Thanks so much, Pat. Hi, everybody. I know that was a lot of information and really so much detail about the cost of healthcare and the packages available to members. I'm going to talk in a little more detail about the health and wellness benefits and features available to members. At the center of our plan is Care Navigation, a unique member support model provided by Quantum Health and introduced back in 2022. The job of the care coordinators at Quantum Health is to help members find the right care at the right time, at the right place, at the right price. Our healthcare system is fairly complicated, and getting care can be overwhelming. Quantum Health is staffed by clinically skilled and experienced professionals who can walk alongside members through any kind of healthcare journey. So they really are the hub, surrounded by, in no particular order of importance, features that hopefully reinforces the plan's commitment to well-being and compassionate care. The next that I'd like to call out is the strong preventive care focused. We've been very intentional about removing all cost barriers to receiving any number of preventive care services, including but not limited to annual exams, colonoscopies, mammograms, and vaccinations. Clearly related to that is our Call to Health program, designed to engage members in activities that touch all aspects of wellness: emotional, physical, vocational, spiritual, and financial. Telemedicine has given our members a lower cost, high value way of telephonically reaching licensed providers during off hours from rural locations to address primarily low acuity needs like colds and flus. Through our partnership with Livongo, now a Teladoc Health subsidiary, we have and will continue to support members diagnosed with type 2 diabetes with low-cost supplies and expert coaching. Centers of Excellence are designated hospitals that meet high quality and cost standards for certain services, and using these facilities result in lower out-of-pocket costs for members and their families. The final feature, integrated mental health and well-being, is also our newest, but warrants a more detailed overview. But before diving into that, let me talk about what medical plans we actually offer. As most of you probably know, we currently support 3 unique coverage options: a PPO, Preferred Provider Organization, an EPO, an Exclusive Provider Organization, and a HDHP, or High Deductible Health Plan. The PPO, which has income-sensitive deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums, which is another expression of the community nature, is of course the coverage option universally provided in both our Congregational Pastors Package and in our Transitional Pastors Package. Any elected dependent coverage mirrors that of the member. While each of these coverage options provides coverage for the same services, variability exists in member cost share. That variability creates a differential in the respective actuarial values. So the EPO, which is an in-network only plan, was introduced as an option in 2017 to churches and other employers covering non-installed ministers. It includes a common deductible and an out-of-pocket maximum with no income sensitivity, higher copays and coinsurance than the PPO, and has an actuarial value that is currently about 9 to 11% below the PPO. Similarly, because the High Deductible Health Plan introduced in 2018 has higher cost share provisions, its actuarial value falls below that of the EPO. But I want to return to the common coverage features, since we've been very intentional in creating designs with common coverage service definitions that reflect our values. Were you to shop for these respective plan design types in any available commercial market, you could not depend on the commonality of covered services. Some services, though medically necessary, may simply be excluded. There are lots of plans, for example, that are excluding GLP-1s used for weight loss and infertility treatment. Well, I'd love to go into an exhaustive detail about every one of these common provisions. I don't think we really have the time to call out all the high value features of all 3 coverage options, so I'll highlight a few. For all 3 coverage options, the annual out-of-pocket maximum caps are less than the Affordable Care limits, which allows members to understand their full exposure if a health crisis should occur. I'll talk about Call to Health, the board's well-being program, in a few minutes, but want to highlight that members can lower their deductible by participating in the Call to Health program. Under the PPO plan, Members' deductible and medical coinsurance maximums are based on income. So those who make less pay less, and those who make more pay a little bit more. I spoke a little about care navigation truly being at the hub of our medical benefits, but want to give you a little more context into why you would actually reach out to them. Quantum Health can help with whether a service is covered or whether it needs pre-certification. Most of us who go to a primary care physician or even a specialist get about 15 minutes of their time. If you're like me, you take notes, you walk out thinking you understood exactly what they were telling you, then you go home and think about 5 or 10 more questions. Quantum Health can help untangle these questions and explain what the doctor is really trying to say. Quantum Health can also help with any billing questions, replace your ID card, and they can even help connect you with community resources if you were in need. Quantum may also reach out to you if they see conditions where they can support you through that healthcare journey. I ask that you pick up the phone if they call and let them help. The nurse navigator can get services pre-certified and can help you understand medications or a new condition. I mentioned our partnership for mental well-being and thought it might be helpful to start with a bit of statistical background and context. There's been a lot reported about mental health, particularly over the last several years, about the general state of emotional health in this vast and diverse country of ours. These particular statistics have been supported by organizations like Millman and the Kaiser Family Foundation. While the numbers that quantify need, that 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 6 children experience a mental health condition is not all that surprising, the numbers addressing treatment efficiency are alarming. It was staggering for us to learn that only half of those individuals receive any treatment at all, and for that half who do, the average time between symptom onset and appropriate treatment is 11 years. That, of course, is just unacceptable by any standard and is really a true call to action. And while much of this has been true for years, this call to action received heightened attention as a result of the pandemic. There was reportedly even higher rates of anxiety and depression, some amount of post-traumatic and other psychological stress and distress, often associated with isolation, loneliness, job loss, financial instability, illness, and grief. Our own claims revealed that this impact when, for the first time in 2021, mental health treatment expenses hit our top 4 diagnostic expense categories, coming in about 8% of our total medical claims spend. We exceeded the norm as benchmarked by Highmark, our claims payer. While it's clear our members and their families had needs, we had faced some persistent challenges in meeting those needs. Certainly not unique to us. They include, of course, access, affordability, and stigma. And they are absolutely interrelated. There are simply not enough providers to meet the sustained need. Roughly 47% of the U.S. population lives in a mental health workforce shortage area. And it is clear that social determinants of health play a role in this access problem, which segues directly to the affordable issue. For our population, roughly 60% of the care has historically been delivered by out-of-network providers. This results in much higher co-payment responsibility for our members and ultimately influences how long they might stay under care of a given provider. It is economic stress on top of emotional stress And that's just not a good combination. And of course, the stigma that is stubbornly attached to the identification and treatment of mental health issues finishes off this list of challenges. Though I might argue that the pandemic actually did a little bit to move the needle on this one. While we have sponsored and supported an EAP program and a medical plan that reflects absolute parity in benefits between physical and mental health conditions, we have long believed that we needed to aggressively address the access and affordability challenges through a more integrated and comprehensive solution. Spring Health brings to the table a collaborative care team that includes care navigators, coaches, therapists, and professionals properly credentialed to do medication management. Their fully integrated EAP includes up to 6 zero copay therapeutic sessions per year, as well as characteristic work-life services and organizational and critical incident support for employees and employers. Spring Health provides a range of mental health services to support mental well-being to our members. With mental well-being, Spring Health helps address 2 main pain points: access, which we talked about, because you have access to behavioral health care in a matter of days, not weeks. Personalized care. Spring Health's dynamics, self-assessment, and algorithm reduces the trial and error approach, giving members access to the right care at the right time from anywhere in the country. They also provide personalized care plans, which include on-demand wellness, exercises, coaching, therapy sessions, or medication management. Spring Health also provides a spectrum of care based on results of that assessment. So you may have well-being coaching, which you can receive unlimited sessions with certified coaches, digital mental wellness exercise that focus on mindfulness and meditation and meditation, therapy, which is the 6 visits per year, and then go on to all providers are in network with the medical carrier also. They have been a wonderful partner, and our members are very engaged in their services, which has been really great to see. The Call to Health program, which I mentioned earlier, helps members work towards wholeness by focusing on 4 key dimensions so they can bring their best gifts to every aspect of their lives. Members can significantly reduce their medical deductible for the following year by participating and meeting the program requirements. The Call to Health website and app, administered by WebMD, provides a personalized experience, enabling participants to set and achieve their own unique health and wellness goals. To answer the Call to Health, participants register and complete activities, some required and others they choose, that focus on the 4 aspects of wholeness: spiritual, health, financial, and vocational. Employees who answer the call by the program deadline qualify for reduced medical deductibles for themselves and their covered family members for the following year. Covered spouses who participate and answer the call will receive a gift card. Telemedicine benefits are available to all members in all 3 medical plans, and members can speak with a board-certified physician anytime or anywhere, including internationally, by phone, video, or mobile app. This is a low-cost option for members who need acute care and can't get in with their PCP or their primary care, or don't want to wait to go to an appointment. Centers of Excellence are Blue Distinction and Blue Distinction Plus designations. These facilities meet high-quality, cost-effective standards and have a proven track record of delivering successful medical outcomes for certain procedures. The plan pays 100% of allowable facility charges after the deductible is met when select surgeries are performed at the centers of excellence. And those are bariatric surgery, transplants, knee and hip replacements, and spinal surgery. For any center of excellence, patient who must travel over 100 miles to that facility are eligible for a travel benefit of up to $10,000 for themselves and a companion. If you're living with diabetes, Teladoc Health has a diabetes management program that can provide real-time support. A member can reach out to a coach 24/7 by phone, text, or mobile app. Members receive a blood glucose monitor and lancing device, plus unlimited lancets and test strips at no cost. We offer 2 optional plans for our members, which are the dental and vision plan. The dental plan, which is administered by Aetna, covers basic and major restorative care as well as orthodontia. All employees are eligible regardless of hours worked. There is a PPO and a DMO plan, and they cover preventive and diagnostic care. The vision plan, administered by VSP, is an optional benefit offered in addition to the vision exam benefit that is included with all 3 medical options. It provides an annual benefit for eyeglasses and contacts and discounts on extra glasses, sunglasses, lens enhancements, and more. Members can get a pair of glasses from a network provider once a year and pay just $25 copay. $25 copay for the eyeglasses, and if the frames cost more, they pay the difference between the actual cost and the allowance. Members also have the freedom to use out-of-network providers and receive reimbursement for covered services up to a scheduled maximum amount. And the last thing I'll speak to before turning it over to John Medikovic is the tax advantage accounts. Tax advantage accounts enable employees to set aside pre-tax dollars through payroll deductions to pay for eligible healthcare expenses. The Board of Pensions offers tax advantage accounts in partnerships with Health Equity. We offer 2 types, the flexible spending accounts and health savings accounts. With flexible spending accounts, or FSA, participants can save on eligible healthcare and dependent care expenses by setting aside pre-tax dollars in that flexible spending account. Members who are part of the FSA will receive a debit card so they can pay their doctor or facility directly. It can be used to pay for eligible healthcare expenses such as the deductible, coinsurance, or over-the-counter medications or prescription eyewear. You've probably heard the term use it or lose it. So members need to be careful how they elect the amount that they plan to put away. Dependent care, FSA, can be used to pay for eligible children under age 13, in-home child care before and after care programs, and also for adult care expenses. A health savings account, or an HSA, is for employees enrolled in the high deductible health plan or medical option. This account can be used to pay for those qualified healthcare expenses, including the high deductible health plan deductible, coinsurance, and prescription drug costs. Unused funds roll over from year to year, and the account is fully portable. So if you would move an employer, you could take it with you. Now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, John Matakovic, to talk about the retirement and the death and disability and life plans. John?
Thanks, Sharon. I'm now going to shift gears to some non-medical benefits. The board's theology of benefits serves once again as meaningful context for our retirement and death, disability, and life plans. These benefits might not always seem as immediate as healthcare, but they're important sources of income security at some of life's most significant chapters. So I want to start by grounding everyone in some basics of the plans that we include under the banner of what we call income security. This full complement of benefits is designed to meet the complex and varied income security needs of employees in some of life's most challenging chapters. First, let's talk about the umbrella, if you will, of income security, where the Board of Pensions offers significant benefits. We'll start with the death and disability plan, temporary disability plan, long-term disability plan, and term life and accidental death and dismemberment plan. I know that's a lot, so here's a quick refresher. Death benefits are multifaceted and provide for the salary continuation benefit. And this effectively provides for 12 months of continued salary payable to survivors following the death of an employee. A lump sum death benefit. This is a benefit that's based on several factors, including the age and effective salary of an employee at the time of their death. A children's education benefit, which is paid to dependent children under the age of 25 for the first 4 years of full-time study beyond high school and after an employee's death. Currently up to $10,000 per year for up to 4 years. And finally, a living needs benefit, which gives financial support to terminally ill employees when they may need it the most. Packaged with these death benefits is a disability plan that provides a 70% income replacement benefit to employees who are no longer able to work due to an illness or an injury. For the entirety of the disability, while these monthly benefits are payable, the employee is kept in what we call active benefit status with continued medical and death benefit protection for the continued accrual of pension credits, features that are virtually unheard of in today's benefits world. These death and disability benefits are available to any employee who works at least 20 hours per week, are paid at 100% by the church, and are offered at a cost of 1% of effective salary when offered in conjunction with the defined benefit pension plan. The temporary disability plan, which is automatically included in the covenant package, congregational pastors package, and transitional pastors participation package, was introduced in 2021. It provides employees with an income replacement of 70% of effective salary for up to 90 days, following a waiting period of just 7 days for times of a short-term illness or a surgical recovery. It's also important to note that no pre-existing limitations or evidence of insurability are required to participate in this plan. It's available to any employee working at least 20 hours per week and can be paid either by the employee or the church at a cost of 45 cents per $10 of weekly salary. Let me give you an example. The cost for an employee with a salary of $40,000 would be just under $35 per month. This provides a significant benefit for anyone experiencing a short-term medical condition. And finally, the freestanding long-term disability plan, also introduced in 2021, is available to those employees not enrolled in the board's death and disability plan and provides comparable monthly income benefits to those of our disability plan. Benefits commence after a 90-day waiting period and provide a 70% income replacement. The plan contains numerous features not found in other similar plans. For example, many plans limit the benefits for behavioral health or substance abuse. The board's plan has no limitations in these areas. Since inception in 2021, enrollment in this plan has increased exponentially, and it's become an important benefit for churches to offer. Long-term disability is available to any employee working at least 20 hours per week and is currently available as a church-paid benefit at a cost of 35 cents per $100 of monthly salary. For example, the annual cost for an employee with a salary of $40,000 would be just under $12 per month, or about $140 a year. This provides a significant benefit for anyone experiencing a long-term medical condition. Next, let's move to the term life and accidental death and dismemberment benefits. This plan was also introduced in 2021 and is available to those employees who are not enrolled in death and disability benefits. It provides a death benefit to a beneficiary in the case of an employee's death, while it pays an AD&D benefit in cases where death or injury occurs as a result of an accident. Benefit levels vary and can be offered by a church at incremental amounts, or at 1 or 2 times the employee's salary, up to a maximum of $200,000. And no evidence of insurability is required for enrollment in this plan. Term life and AD&D are available to any employee working at least 20 hours per week and are currently available as a church-paid benefit at a cost of 20 cents per $1,000 of coverage for both benefit options. For example, the annual cost for an employee with $25,000 of coverage would be $60 a year, while the cost for somebody earning $50,000 a year would be $120 per year. Another important benefit allows employees to add an additional layer of coverage via the board's supplemental death benefits. It's available to employees working 20 or more hours per week in either the death and disability plan or the term life AD&D plan. Coverage levels vary, with amounts ranging from a low of $25,000 through $300,000. Spouses and children are also eligible for coverage. For employees or spouses, evidence of insurability may be required in some circumstances. Now let's shift gears and move to retirement plans section of today's presentation. The board's retirement plans consist of 2 separate plans, and I'm sure you may be familiar with both. First, the defined benefit pension plan, and next, the retirement savings plan. I'll start by discussing the defined benefit pension plan. Our defined benefit pension plan really is the flagship of our plans, and it's the oldest. I suspect that many of you appreciate the value of the plan and know it well. At a time when the number of U.S. pension plans and their viability continues to dwindle year after year, the board's plan is consistently characterized by its strength and its viability. And I can tell you that many of the other church plans with whom we associate view this plan with a bit of envy. At its most basic level, this plan is intended to give financial security to employees who participate and provides a monthly payment from the time someone retires throughout their retirement years. Funding of the plan comes from 2 sources. First, employers contribute dues. And second, the board's investment team applies a long-term investment approach to achieve an appropriate investment return. These 2 sources have allowed the plan to be sufficiently funded over the years and to provide employees with the benefits they've been promised. Benefits are determined using effective salary over the years an employee participates. And experience apportionments are also applied over time based on direction from the board of directors. Employees also have a choice to retire earlier than or after their normal retirement age, which for the plan is age 65. Pension plan is available to any employees who work at least 20 hours per week And as I mentioned, dues are paid 100% by the church at a cost of 8.5% of an employee's effective salary. Next, let's talk about some of the plan's features. First and foremost, our plan is what we call a church plan that promises to provide what we call a definitely determinable benefit. A formula is used, and a benefit must be paid to eligible employees when they retire and elect their benefit. You may be familiar with the formula, and that is that it provides a 1.25% credit of an employee's effective salary for each year of service. And if their effective salary is below the median, it accrues at the greater of the median or their effective salary. So this is an added benefit for those who are paid at a more modest salary level. Survivor benefits are automatically part of an employee's benefit. The plan is also what we call active, meaning churches still make contributions on employees' behalf. It is fully funded. And by that, we mean there is enough money in the plan to provide all the benefits that had promised to the 38,000 employees in the plan. The plan was funded at 172% as of the end of 2024. What this means is that for every dollar promised in benefits, there's $1.72 in the plan. That's unheard of in the pension world. Talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues. Most will not be in a plan, and I can tell you for those that are, if any, the plans are not funded really to this level. This has allowed the plan to be very liberal in providing what it calls experience apportionments, which are also essentially unheard of in pension plan. So on that note, let's spend a few minutes on this important part of the plan's design. This is an incredibly unique feature to the plan. So what is an apportionment? In its simplest definition, it's a permanent increase in everyone's pension accruals and benefits. The policy to make this happen focuses on three key features. Number one, first and foremost, keep the plan solvent. By that, we mean ensure the money is there to pay benefits. Next, protect retirees against inflation. And finally, achieve what we call generational equity. By that, we mean that everyone in all cohorts share in the benefits of apportionments. But to achieve the goals I mentioned, a disciplined formula is needed. I think the key word here is disciplined. The formula that's been used for many years is as follows. If the funded status of the plan is 110% or more, an apportionment may be granted by the directors. If the funded status is 110%, but less than 120%, an apportionment of 1% would be recommended. If the funded status is 120%, but less than 125, an apportionment of 2% would be recommended. And finally, if the funded status of the plan is 125% or more, a higher apportionment is recommended based upon a complex formula that accounts for these tenets of the policy. For those of you who have been around for a while, you may know that given the overall management and governance of the plan, the governance and the discipline used, this has allowed the board of directors to grant apportionment each year since 2013. Now, shifting gears again, I'd like to cover the other board-sponsored retirement plan, and that is the retirement savings plan. The RSP is a qualified 403(b)(9) defined contribution plan provided through a long-standing partnership with Fidelity Investments, which began in the year 2000. So we're now celebrating 25 years of partnership with Fidelity Investments. They provide both record-keeping services as well as a lineup of board-curated, cost-effective investment options. As a business partner, we hold them to a very strict set of performance standards, and they have consistently adhered to them. Enrollment in the retirement savings plan has grown consistently over the last 10 years, with over 15,000 in the plan as of the end of 2024. Total plan assets are approximately $1.4 billion, and like the membership has grown consistently over the last 10 years. In terms of eligibility and pricing, there is no minimum hourly work requirement for employees, and the quarterly administrative fee is $3.75. Churches pay no plan administration fees, and 5,500 plan audits, things of that nature, are not required. The Board of Pensions handles the overall management of the plan and takes that responsibility and burden from the employers. The board has improved the plan over time by broadening the available features for all participating employees. The plan offers 12 funds from which to choose, in addition to an array of target date funds, along with managed accounts, which allows participants to work directly with Fidelity in structuring the allocation of their assets. It also offers a brokerage option where employees can go outside the plan's fund lineup and choose additional funds in which to invest if they choose. A few more features offered by the plan include immediate vesting of all contributions. In addition, for those times where an employee has a financial need, the ability to take out a loan or initiate a hardship withdrawal is there. When it comes to time to start withdrawing money from the plan in retirement, employees have many choices on how to withdraw their assets. So in summary, we're confident in saying that the plan contains all the features found in most commercial plans, yet it remains rooted to the values of the Presbyterian Church. So I think it's clear that choice and flexibility for employees and churches are truly at the heart of the plan's design. It really is an important source of retirement, especially for those employees who may not be enrolled in the defined benefit pension plan. So this concludes my portion of the presentation. So with that, Ruth Adams will cover benefits available through the assistance program. Ruth?
Thank you, John. Hello, everyone. My name is Ruth Adams, and I am the director of the assistance program. So in the last 5 years, the board has dramatically expanded access to the assistance program. The programs offered by the board fall into 3 general categories: those for all members, those for pensioners only, and those for minister members only. I'm going to briefly walk through these programs, but please visit pensions.org/assistance after this webinar for all of the eligibility criteria for these programs before you apply or before encouraging someone else to apply. All members with at least one benefit have access to the Emergency Assistance Program. Emergency assistance seeks to address unexpected financial needs with grants of up to $5,000. Not listed here, but a subset of emergency assistance are natural disaster relief grants. These are $1,000 grants made available to any U.S.A. employee, regardless of benefit enrollment, to address the immediate aftermath of a natural disaster. Earlier this year, we gave out over 100 natural disaster grants to church employees impacted by the Eaton and Palisades fires in Los Angeles. And we are unfortunately already planning for an active hurricane season this year. We support members who are enrolled in medical and pension or who are currently receiving a pension with adoption assistance grants of $6,500 per adopted dependent. And similar criteria exists for transition to college grants, which offer $2,000 for each dependent enrolled in post-high school course of learning or, so VOTEC or anything like that. And awards of $3,000 are available to dependents who are attending U.S.A. colleges or universities. As John just went over, participation in the board's defined benefit pension plan is important to securing greater stability in retirement. For those who are still struggling, we offer support to pensioners. Those who are retired and receiving a pension from the board are eligible to apply. Those who have at least 5 years in the pension plan and another 10 years of additional church service, we offer retiree medical grants and income and housing supplements. Retiree medical grants provide $2,500 every 3 years for dental or hearing aid services not covered by Medicare. Income and housing supplements are monthly grants provided to pensioners who are struggling to make ends meet in retirement after long service and dedication to the PCUSA. As a reminder, as of the first of this year, minister members no longer need to be enrolled in a benefits package to qualify for these next 4 assistance programs. The board endeavors to help pastors address debt burdens through financial education and a grant of $10,000 through minister debt relief. If you or a pastor you know participated in the earlier program, Healthy Pastors, Healthy Congregations, they may be eligible for an additional grant of $5,000. Minister Educational Debt Assistance provides a monthly grant that covers 90% of the minimum monthly payment required by the loan. In our work with one of our vendors, People Joy, to get folks to loan forgiveness, we have gotten Board of Pensions ministers over $5 million in student loan forgiveness. That's huge. In Sabbath sabbatical grants, we offer $5,000 to ministers who plan to take at least 4 weeks of an approved sabbatical to restore themselves and refresh their perspective on ministry. For ministers returning to their country or territory of origin, that is where they were born, or that of an adopted dependent, grants can be up to $10,000. Clergy wellness exists in direct response to the pandemic when ministers couldn't take 4 weeks to go somewhere. Instead, a number of programs have been pre-approved for ministers who would benefit from a week or even a weekend to address their spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical wholeness, for which we offer grants of up to $5,000. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, that's all well and good, but is the board actually helping anyone? This slide is to demonstrate that in 2024, we distributed nearly $10 million in assistance grants to over 2,700 people. Before I introduce the next speaker, I want to leave you with one key message. These programs are designed with you in mind, to support your overall wholeness and to help you build and maintain financial stability. Each of these programs is intended to help you thrive at work and at home, and we are here to help you. And here to talk more about exactly that is my dear friend and colleague, the Vice President of Customer Engagement, Yvette Russell.
Thank you so much, Ruth. As we near the end of our time together today, I am delighted to share the employer and member services resources and support we provide to help you and your employees realize the full value of the benefits plan and assistance program. Our commitment to service excellence is a defining characteristic of who we are when we engage with you, our customers, both members and employers. Our values of hospitality, excellence, and grace to those we serve and each other helps shape the service we provide. We focus on continuous improvement and refinement to support creating positive and memorable service experiences as we have conversations with members, business administrators, church treasurers, and employer representatives. We maintain strong relationships with our business partners, as you heard earlier, and that's for continuity in our customer service. We also staff a member advocate to support complex circumstances. We are here to serve you. The time to review your employer agreements for 2026 is fast approaching. Thursday, August 28th through Friday, October 3rd. During this period, employer representatives can log into Benefits Connect to review benefit selections and pricing for 2026. You can make changes to the benefits you offer employees and directly submit your 2026 employer agreement in Benefits Connect. Currently available on our website is a resource titled Benefits Dues and Cost 2026. We hope this resource is helpful for an at-a-glance review of the dues and costs for retirement plans, death, disability, and life plans, health and wellness plans, and dues packages. We are looking forward to providing service and support as you plan for 2026 benefits. Please contact us at 800-PRES-PLAN if you have any questions or concerns along the way. Our dedicated employer services team is trained and ready to provide you with service and support. Please also visit the homepage of our website, pensions.org, for an informational section dedicated to help employers prepare to make 2026 benefit decisions. We hope you find the intentional steps outlined helpful as you review your current offerings and discuss your organization's needs and considerations for your employees' benefits needs. While preparing, please also confirm your employer representative and contact information in Benefits Connect. The Board of Pensions sends important benefits information using the email address information in Benefits Connect. Need help with your employer agreement? No worries. Please consider attending our new webinar titled Your 2026 Employer Agreement, Tools and Resources for Success. This webinar is designed to support employer representatives who will complete and submit their 2026 employer agreement in Benefits Connect. Join board staff from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Time during September. We will host this webinar. Our first webinar will be held on Tuesday, September 2nd. We'll hold another webinar on Tuesday, September 16th, and then again on Thursday, September 25th. These dates and more details about the webinar are now available on pensions.org. Let's look ahead a bit. Please note annual enrollment begins Monday, October 20th through Friday, November 7th. Please stay tuned to pensions.org and other communications as we get closer to annual enrollment. In closing, I'd like to remind you that knowledgeable staff here at the Board of Pensions provide service and support to help you understand the benefits plans and programs offered. We provide service in 3 languages, English, Korean, and Spanish. Please call us, send us an email. We appreciate and welcome the opportunity to engage with you as you move forward. Thank you. Take care. I'd like to turn it over to Emily to talk to us a little bit about some of the questions we may have in our chat.
Thank you so much, Yvette. We have some questions that were submitted before the webinar began, as well as some that continue to come into the queue. So as we get our panelists back up for the Q&A, I encourage you to ask any questions you may have through the Q&A chat. And do remember, we'll do our best to answer as many live as we can in the time allotted. But if we don't get to your question, we will make sure to have someone from the board follow up with a response in the next few weeks. So Pat, I think our first question will be directed toward you. The question is, our pastor is enrolled in the Transitional Pastors Participation Package. How can we find out if that package is still the best choice, or if we should consider the Congregational Pastors Package?
It's a great question, and one that I suspect will require some amount of discernment about both the coverage needs for the pastor's family as well as the economics. But to help with the economics, there is a wonderful decision guide for minister benefits that does the math and can produce the best result. That's located on pensions.org. And that helps with establishing both eligibility and cost. But most importantly, I would say, call one of you really smart church consultants that can guide them to the guide and guide them through the guide. It is an important decision, and it really is a very individualized one for both the pastor and the church. And so those are the tools, the decision guide, as well as contacting a church consultant.
Thank you so much, Pat. And if you need help finding your church consultant, please go to pensions.org, search church consultant in the search bar, and you'll come up with the list of the church consultants who serve your region. Let's direct our next question to John. John, you mentioned that the covenant package contains temporary disability, but I thought I heard temporary disability could also be offered by itself. Can you please clarify?
Yeah, Emily, great question. Thank you for that. And the answer is yes, it is offered within the covenant package, in addition to the other packages. But if an employer wishes to make it available to their employees, they can also do that outside of the packages. And it can be offered at both either an employee paid level or an employer paid level. So there's lots of flexibility there with temporary disability. And we really encourage our employers to take a hard look at it. Enrollment in that has continued to grow. Each year at annual enrollment, we've seen more people join, and it's such an important part of people's benefits. You've got a gap there between when long-term disability would start of 90 days. So it's something that an employer can offer. If they can't afford to pay for it, to make an employee paid, that's great. And then it takes an item really off the balance sheet for the employer too, and gives another option. So we really encourage all of our churches and employees to take a look at it.
Thanks, John. I think the next question we'll direct to Sharon. Sharon, can you share how to find a center of excellence?
Sure. You can go on to Quantum Health, which is our hub. If you go onto their website, you can either get there by going through a single sign-on on Benefits Connect, or you can go there directly to my Q Health boardofpensions.com. But either way, once you get there, there is a care finder, and in that care finder, they will direct you to centers of excellence. It's a little bit below the care finder, so it will talk about centers of excellence and then provide a link. You'll be directed then to put in your state and what you're looking for, and it will provide a list of providers. Thanks, Emily.
Thanks, Sharon. Yvette, I think our next question is for you. When will the 2026 costs for the 3 medical plans for employees be available?
Thank you for your question. Starting August 28th, in Benefits Connect, you will be able to select a very new button. We hope you find it more user-friendly. It's a blue button. It will indicate employer agreement, and there you will find your 2026 medical plan rates within your employer agreement.
Thank you. And Yvette, I'll ask a follow-up. Can you have one pastor on TPP and another in CPP?
Well, it depends. You know, the TPP was offered for anyone enrolled in that particular package through the end of 2024. So we're not offering the TPP package in 2025. So those who were enrolled as of 12/31/2024 could have maintained that particular package, but moving forward, we're offering the new packages that were described earlier. So you can definitely have both scenarios depending on the unique circumstances of the pastor and the congregation. Yes.
Thanks, Yvette.
You're welcome.
Pat, can you take our next question? It is, can you explain what the board means when it uses the phrase community nature?
Yes, when we use that, we mean a sharing of costs across the population, and 2 ways in which I can call out how community nature works. One, Sharon addressed the issue of income sensitive deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums. So the lower paid plan members who are enrolled in the PPO have a lower cost burden. It is a way of distributing costs across the community. The second way, obviously, is in other dues packages where there's income sensitivity. So income sensitivity remains as part of member-only coverage in the congregational pastors package. Of course, it remains in total in the transitional pastors participation dues arrangement, and in all income sensitive rates, including minimums and maximums. It is a way in which we establish that the community shares the economic burden of our programs.
Thank you, Pat.
You're welcome.
Our next question, Sharon, I think this sits with you, but feel free to invite others to answer. The question has to do with options for ensuring dependence when the member takes their pension benefit and is no longer enrolled in our program.
I did see the question come through and you know, it sounds wonderful, your family at 70 years old to have a 13-year-old. So that I want to acknowledge too. But, you know, there are options. Our medical continuation is really because of the plan being such a high level plan is more expensive than probably you could get on the marketplace. So I would suggest that you should really look for options for your daughter and on the marketplace, depending on the state that you're in, but you should be able to find an option there.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, the next question, how about for Ruth? The question is, can you receive more than one grant from the assistance program?
Absolutely, and certainly some do. We have had some ministers who have taken advantage of the Minister Debt Relief Program, Minister Education Debt Assistance, which again is a program that monthly pays 90% of a minimum monthly payment. And also, while they did those programs, they also did a Sabbath sabbatical and got a couple of transition to college grants for their children. So you can certainly receive at least one and probably more than one grant within the same year.
Great, thank you. See, one more question that has come through. It is about the theology underpinning benefits for U.S.A. Church, both ordained and non-ordained. Is there someone on our panel who wants to speak to the theology of benefits?
Emily, I think you are an amazing spokesperson for the theology of benefits, but we all know it as wholeness and wellness. I've heard you many times describe shalom in a way that is just more than what I ever understood it to be. So maybe that's where you can start.
Sure. And Kate, I would encourage you to reach out to your church consultant if you want to ask very specific questions or be in dialogue about the theology of benefits. It really starts from a place of wanting to make sure we are calling folks to the shalom that God has offered for all of us, and that is peace in its fullest capacity, not just the peace we offer one another, but the holistic well-being that God calls us to. And we find that all throughout Scripture. There is a document for the theology of benefits that I think one of my amazing colleagues on our technology side is going to link in the chat for you. So if I would direct you to that, and then if you have further questions, please reach out to your church consultant. They'd happy to be in dialogue.
And I'll just add that, you know, one of the things we're very intentional about is aligning the values of the church with our plans and programs. So when we make design decisions, when we talk about what we should be covering and how we should cover it, it starts with the question, what is the right thing to do? And how do our values get reflected in that decision? So I would call that out as part of our theology of benefits.
Thank you. It looks like we have answered all of the questions in the Q&A panel, and if we haven't been able to answer them, we have responded that someone will reach out. So we are going to wrap up and say that we are concluding the Value of the Benefits Plan webinar. You will receive a very short survey so that we can continue to refine our webinar experience. In that email, you will also find some links related to the resources referenced in what you heard today. This webinar was recorded and will be available on the Board of Pensions website in about 2 weeks. If you wrote in questions again that we didn't answer, someone will be in contact with you directly. Please give us a couple of days to respond. And if you have any additional questions that come up, please reach out via the contact information provided here and on our website. Thanks again to our presenters, Pat Haynes, Sharon Castillo, John Matakovic, Ruth Adams, Yvette Russell, as well as to the team behind the scenes who made this all happen. And a special thank you to all of you who attended this webinar and all you do to support the mission and vision of your own congregations. Have a great rest of your day.